the big platforms moved in. Last year, $200 billion flowed upwards, away from the people who actually play. This year, they take it back. YOM, where players play games straight from your PC, not a data center in Virginia. Meet Tyler Pemberton. Yes, this looks dramatic, but he's perfectly fine. Tyler's offline. His PC isn't. 47 players streaming from his GPU right now. Even AFK, Tyler's rig is pulling its weight. He's making money in his sleep. Maybe this is what happens when gamers finally take control of their own world. Turn your idle GPU into passive income. YOM.net. Eat, sleep, earn, repeat.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I apologize for my late start. I had technical difficulties, which is not so surprising if you know me at all. I had to restart the computer and get the camera to work. But we're up and live and working now. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good early morning, depending on where you're tuning in from. I am Jeff, the CXO at YOM. You probably have seen our town halls before. If you're coming in and understanding what YOM is, you've heard my voice, you've seen my face before. I'm sure it's old hat. We've got a burner tonight. I am excited to talk about some of this news that came out about the Amazon Luna. It's their program. We're going to kind of dive into that. We're going to dive into how it compared to Stadia, why they were both wrong, why we're I wouldn't say excited. It's not really excited the word I would use, but it is interesting to see where Amazon is also falling down. And again, it further supports the thesis that we have and the reason why we've created YOM, because they realize that centralization is just going to be too expensive. All right, before we get into it really deep, wanted to bring up a little bit of, as we always do at the beginning of these shows, some images of Walter. If you don't know, Walter is our mascot. He is he's this rust-colored gorilla. You see him in a lot of our marketing material. So this is the winner for this week. This has been a great little pixelated kind of throwback to the way the games used to look back when I first started playing them back in the day. Walter is a rust-colored gorilla. He wears blue round sunglasses and a white T-shirt and jeans with the YOM logo on it. And again, I think ZZZ Zend, is that how we're going to pronounce it? But again, he makes a point. The gaming is hitting a breaking point, and the rising cost of hardware is too much. It's too much friction, an outdated model starting to crack, and it's time for something better, which is what we represent here at YOM. So I appreciate the post. If you're not following ZZ Zend, ZZZJEND on Twitter, follow him. And let's get, I didn't follow you back. Hold on, buddy. There we go. And let's talk about what's been going on with the project real quick. So I generally try to do a little bit of industry news and project news in any one of these town halls. I'm going to start today with some project updates, and because I'm not going to go into them very deep, I really do want to get into the Luna news. It's a really big deal. But I do want to point out, I'm going to go up more of this on Friday in our town halls. We do one on Wednesday night, one on Friday afternoon. We've launched our source of truth page. This is, so as a startup, we started, what, 3 years ago. We had a lot of numbers as we first started running the network, and we had some numbers to talk about and to talk about how good the system is. Obviously, as we improve the technology, those numbers change over time. And people who are going back and doing the research on our project will see a number. They'll see, less than 30 milliseconds. And then they'll see less than 7 milliseconds. Which one is it? Well, obviously, we're getting better and better. we wanted to take all the numbers from everything, that all the different metrics that we've captured, put them in one page, and show off again. This is where our current standing is with our technology. We are able to stream at less than 7 milliseconds in latency. We're 93% cheaper than any other cloud gaming service, which is why Luna is falling down. Again, we'll get that in a second. We have a rig check app. If you are curious about earning passive income with your gaming rig, and you should be, because passive income is a great way to, supplement the income. Basically, what you're finding out is that GPU cycles are a resource that can be mined and used. And you want to, if you have a gaming rig that sits idle when you go to bed or go off to work, you want to be able to use those GPU cycles, sell them to us. We're able to pay for people who stream off of your rig whenever they do. But to make sure that you're not getting yourself involved in something that you can't really run, or purchase a nano device that you can't run, we have a rig check app that I will put the link in the first comment inside this video. And you run that app and it'll tell you about how many streams you can run, what your speed would be, how good your computer will do. We've had over 118 countries. We've had that rig check scanned in over 118 countries. I think 13,000 rechecks completed. I want to say there's like 300 GPU configurations that we've evaluated for different people. We're having a lot of, which is really good. We're having a lot of success in the Southeast Asia area, a lot in India and Singapore, and in Pakistan. A lot going on in Europe with us right now, and the U.S. is kind of coming in at the same rate as some of Southeast Asia. If you're in the U.S., this is again a great way to earn passive income with your rig. Anyways. It's just yom.net/source-of-truth, and it'll give you verified numbers that you can look at and see our growth and how everything's have changed. So if you're looking at an old Medium article, these are the numbers that you want to use when you're talking about YOM. All right, that is that. I also did want to talk really quick about that the nanos are in pre-sale, and people have been saying, well, when do they ship out? They're going to be shipping out. Well, what we're doing is we're getting the alpha network from V1 over to V2. V2 is a much more it's a quicker system. It's been optimized, and it's going to run even faster than our current. Well, you saw 7 millisecond stream. That, by the way, that 7 millisecond stream, that was one that lasted like 45 minutes. There was someone playing a game for 45 minutes, and we kept an average of 7 millisecond speed. That's just, it's crazy. When most central cloud gaming services, most of our competitors, they're struggling to get under 35, and we're having no problem with 7. Anyways, what's going on with all that? Where was I going with that? We got people in the chat can tell me where I jumped. But I guess just to say that, the version 2. So version 2 is going to be flashed on all the alpha network that's currently running right now. And then when that gets play tested, and I think it's going to take, we scheduled about 2 weeks. So next week and the week after, at that point, we'll be shipping out the nanos with the free 2. So if you purchased from freshminers.com, we expect the shipment to go out as soon as V2 launches, which is at the end of this month. That is still all on schedule. So very happy to announce that. All right. Let's get into the meat of the stories from today. So yes, Amazon Luna. You may have seen here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see the whole article here. And I've got myself super tiny. That's kind of not what I wanted to do. Let me see if I can bring that up so I'm a little bit bigger. How's that look? No, over here. There we go. All right. So this week, Amazon announced that they're ending the third-party integration of exterior libraries. So these are people who have been using Luna, and I've done a deep dive to kind of understand how Luna, what their proposition was, and why is it that they had to make this change. It makes complete sense once you understand what they built. So what they were allowing people to do was stream the games that you purchased on like Ubisoft's app, or the GOG had or GOG. I guess people say it both ways, but I say GOG. GOG or Ubisoft or EA storefronts. You have to purchase them on those storefronts and then play them through the cloud that Amazon was hosting, the Luna cloud. Turns out that's not such a great idea. It's pretty expensive to do. So I wanted to go a little bit into the history of the Luna project. Alex's article has kind of circulated quite a few places. Bad news for Luna folks. But let me go into a little bit of the history of what was going on with Luna and why they're falling down. I'm gonna get out of this though. No reason to keep me small. Here we go. So I did some research to find out like how what was the mission for Luna? What was Amazon out to do? How did they what steps did they take? When did they launch and what were the milestones? And then what happened? Why did they make this announcement here a couple of days ago to say, hey, we're out of this game. It's too expensive. So calling it like a 6-year experiment. What they did when they first launched, and this is back in October of 2020. They launched their service, but very quietly, kind of a stealth program for USA invitees only, as a way to kind of test out the waters. What they were doing was a channel type service where they would offer you a subscription to the Luna service, and then you could have access to the games. Again, purchasing them from EA, that came later, but access to some of these games through your Luna subscription price. And they were expecting they would make money on the Luna subscriptions and then kind of bring you into the whole Amazon ecosphere. Their goal, the stated goal at the time, was to have a Netflix of gaming where you just log in and start playing, which is a great goal. I mean, we share that goal. The idea that you don't have to download and install in order to play these games. You don't have to have the big beefy gaming rig. This opened up the market to people who don't have those big rigs to play these high quality AAA quality games. So their goal and our goal in that way was very similar. And in March of 2020, after they shook all the bugs and everything, they did like their grand opening. They were trying to use Twitch as a way to bring people in onto Luna. And really, again, they just thought we could make a Netflix of gaming, but they were using their big central servers to host all these games. Well, come around, it's October 2025. They realized that the expenses that they were running into when they were hosting these large games and running these big servers, it's really, really expensive. And again, they weren't making money necessarily from the purchases you were making. They got a small portion. If you purchased through Luna at the Ubi Games site, they got a small portion, but it certainly didn't cover a year's worth of you using their machines to play the game through. But again, they thought it could be a loss leader and just bring people into the ecosphere. Now, at the time that they launched, Stadia had already been running for a number of years. And Google Stadia was different in their business practice. They thought that what they could do is get you to purchase. They would help you actually buy the game and then hold it on Stadia. And again, when Stadia closed down, all those purchases you made were poof, gone. So you spent a whole bunch of money to play some games that you didn't have access to anymore. Luna's was slightly different. You can still access your game through the Ubisoft launcher and the EA launcher, even after this announcement, when they're not using this, not allowing you to use the Amazon service to run those games any longer after, I think it's June 10th, something like that. But you don't lose your game. You just have to go someplace else to start playing it. And again, I take it back. If you don't have a beefy computer and you were counting on the cloud to do the compute for you to play those games, then you actually do lose your game. I mean, you can still access it, but if you don't have a machine to run it on, then poof, it's gone. Anyways, that's where Stadia and Luna differed, right? Their business model was different. Stadia wanted you to purchase in the same way that you would do through Steam, very similar to that, and then play on their cloud. And then Amazon was like, no, we'll just sell you a subscription service, and kind of like the way that you buy Hulu or something like that, pay for some other streaming service. You just stream, you pay for the Luna streaming service. Now, both of those models relied on a central server again, and this is the thing that where their business models were different. Their technology was the same, or very essentially the same. And again, this became very expensive to run. They've got to build the server, the buildings. They've got to maintain them. The other thing that kind of one of the articles pointed out that Amazon had to run into whenever Ubisoft changed their launcher, or EA changed their launcher, well, now the Luna engineers had to go and make sure that the launchers still worked with the Luna setup. And of course, that was expensive in man hours to make sure that the systems could talk to each other correctly again. So it's the major problem. So in about October of 2025, Amazon decided, hey, let's kind of like quiet down this whole AAA quality gaming thing. Let's work towards game night. And game night was simpler games. I mean, the kinds of things you play, like Angry Birds is the example that people use, or board games, those kinds of games through the learning service to play on your TV set. It's not a bad pivot. I mean, it makes sense. But those games are a lot less compute intensive, and they can now own. It is pretty much only the games that they themselves control are the games that get launched in the Luna system. And again, these are all party games. They did try back in December of this past year, this 2025, they thought, hey, all right, let's rope in Comcast, Xfinity, and try to launch Luna on a bunch of different set top boxes. And this might be a way to expand the play pool. But really, all that did was backfire because as you added more players, they were going for those high quality games, and that was causing their overhead to even rise. So I think at this now here we are in April. I think they finally realized this is not a strategy that will work. It's not that there's not a gaming audience out there. There absolutely is. They just can't afford to host them on a central server, which again is further making the point that we've been making from our core thesis is that a centralized server is going to be too expensive. It's not going to support, whereas a decentralized server is much, much less expensive, and it can reach farther out, and it can allow for access to more and more players who, again, don't have the big gaming rigs at home. What did I not talk about in my notes? Yeah, I think I got through all of it. Really, the whole point is if Amazon can't afford it, who can? I mean, if Amazon can't afford to stream games from their cloud, and Google also decided that they can't do it, I think Google was having a different problem in addition to the cost, and they never were able to get their streams to be fast enough. They couldn't get the latency down low enough, and really, Amazon is going to run to that problem too. The physics defy the ability to stream from a big machine in this region of the world to somebody who's too far away. I mean, there's only even fiber optics can only go so fast. With the YOM system, because we're using gaming rigs around the world at people's homes, we can what our orchestrator does is we find the closest node who's running the game close by to you and set up the connection as soon as you hit the website or hit the login for the game. That's the other difference. Well, there's so many differences, really. The decentralized infrastructure is the biggest difference. I mean, it's a game changer. And to be fair to Stadia, the technology was not strong enough for them to even know to do decentralized in the way that we now know. This is all technology that's kind of sprung up in the past 5 years. But the secondary problem that they were going to have was that oh man, I lost my train of thought again. Man, someone help me out. What was I talking about? Hey, that's actually a good question, JLo. People who are watching, if you want to drop your location, I am very curious too to see where people are tuning in from. It is kind of the upside of being a live stream, because this is live. You might be watching it, later on. We do get a lot of overnight watchers who come in after the fact. But if you're watching live, part of the fun is, knowing where everybody's calling in from, letting you folks ask questions to me. I'm happy to take some questions too. If anything that I'm saying, I have a tendency to talk fast. I know this already. So I'll try to slow down, and I'm happy to go through if you have questions about the YOM project and you're finding out for the first time what it is that we do. And you might even be just hearing the term decentralization for the first time. I'm happy to talk about that some more as I try to get back to what I was saying about Google Stadia. So they were going to have the problem of latency regardless. They didn't know that they didn't really know from decentralization because it really didn't exist so much in a robust format as it does today with so many deep in projects popping up all over the place. But I was going to go somewhere else with it and I don't remember what it was. All right, well, I'll come back to it, or someone else will remind me in one of the other chats. So if you're getting familiar with the project for the first time, we have these live broadcasts on Wednesday nights they start generally at 7:00 on a Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US. And then on Fridays, we do one at noon Eastern Standard Time, which is about 6 p.m. out in Europe, where we have our company's based in Netherlands. So we have a big European following, and we try to do a 6 p.m. Friday night broadcast for those folks so they can tune in. And we do actually a deeper dive. Generally, we have a guest as well, either someone from the studio or someone from one of our partners. All right, I think I've covered most of what I wanted to cover. So the Luna news, when I first kind of mentioned it to the to the gang this morning that I was going to do one on Luna, eyes got really wide, and they didn't realize that this is what Luna was planning to do, to pare it all down to just party games, Jackbox type games. They can't even use Jackbox games because those are, again, a different launcher. Yeah, it was something about the launcher. That's what I was going to say. Something about Google's launcher. Oh, I'm forgetting now. Regardless. That's what I know what it was. I got it. So the other difference that's big beyond what Google Stadia and Amazon Luna were both trying to also have their own front face, their own platform where you came to it. And we should, we'll be able to empower those platforms as well with the YOM technology. However, the YOM technology is also wider than that. What we do allow for is people who are publishers who have games, if they want to just include their game on a website, embed their game on a website in the same way that you would embed a YouTube video on a website, that's also available. So there are going to be some publishers who want to be able to put their game stream inside of a Telegram thread or inside of Discord as a way to reach players with less and less friction. And our system allows for that, where the Amazon Luna, Google Stadia, and none of these other cloud services, they all, I guess it's a mentality of centralization. Like those companies who want to centralize, they feel like they have to have control of every piece of it. And that's, I guess it's kind of understandable, because if you don't, you have problems like what Luna is running into when they have to update their system to match the launcher that EA decided to change at the last minute. And if EA and Ubisoft both change their launchers at the same time, then you've got twice as many bugs, I'm sure, entered into the system, into the Luna system. So owning it yourself is a way to handle it. The other way to handle it is to build your system to be as flexible as possible, which is the approach we took. Again, when we talk about decentralization, a lot of it is about not just decentralizing the streams, but also having the technology be open for all kinds of different use cases, including, again, embedding your stream inside of a Telegram chat or inside of Discord. This is all to assist the gaming industry as it's going through this period of I won't say stagnation, but certainly people will feel contraction. There are people layoffs happening in many of the big studios. But in our minds, a lot of this is about reinvigorating the creativity, because you're now opening up the ease of access to more and more players. People who would, when you jump into Steam, you're seeing the top 10 games over and over again, and you're not realizing that there's a quirky title over here that's really kind of cool. But if my buddy sends me a link to or sends me the game inside of a Discord thread that he and I are sharing of this quirky game, and all I have to do is click the button and I'm starting to play, the discoverability of those games is going to be much, much faster. So that's, again, the flexibility of the decentralized model works in more ways than just the technology being better and faster and cheaper. All right, I think I have gotten to the end of my ranting this evening. It really was a very big news for the people who are using Luna. Now, Luna, I think, only has a leg. They launched originally in the U.S. I know they did a push to get into Europe as well, into, like, I know France, because Ubisoft is there, and GOG is based out of Poland, I believe. So they had a push in Europe as well. I don't think much of the world. I don't know how well they did in, like, Southeast Asia. Which is crazy, because it's such a big gaming community that's there. You really should tap into that market. But I think, again, it's a little too late. I think they realized that the physics of the centralized model is just not going to work out, no matter what they do or what region they get into. Whereas we realize that we can pay people who let us use their gaming machines for the hours that we use their machine, and then they can take that money that they've earned and pour it back into the gaming industry, because they're purchasing more games, they're purchasing more items from games. It's a better loop for the gaming industry as a whole. Okay. Any questions at all before I jump and say good evening to everybody? We're going to be back on Friday. I'm gunning for our a guest. I'm trying to nail him down, because I want to talk about the community events that are happening as we start into the second half of April, leading into the Nano shipment and V2 launching, and TGE as well. TGE is we don't have a signed date yet, but we're getting very close, and that's all I have the ability to say at this moment. But by Friday, I might be able to say more, so maybe tune in on Friday. Right, doesn't sound like I've got questions, so I'm going to go ahead and jump. As I say every week, be good to yourselves, drink lots of water, be good to somebody else next to you. Just try to be as friendly and helpful as you can be to everyone around you, and that'll all come back to you. That's kind of the way the world works. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will talk again. If you haven't followed us on Discord, please do that. Again, our X account is also streaming this feed, so you probably see it there. And I will include the link to our rig check in the YouTube video first comments, so that way you can find it there. All right, folks, have a good evening. We'll talk again on Friday. Thanks so much. Peace.